I see we've had joining already. Okay, I see Ike. Oh, Ike, how you doing? I see Aden. I thought I saw Grace for a moment. Okay. All right. Let's just. It's typically we don't do African time. We start right on time, but maybe we just give people maybe another 1 minute or thereabout to join us. Then we can kick off officially. I hope that's okay, Martin. Please, can you confirm you can hear me? Am I still audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to start in another maybe 1 minute to thereabout, so we can just proceed without taking further time or more time than we've already taken. The time is 7:02 p.m. West African time, and on this note, I welcome you all to the Dinamico Consulting webinar, the Dinamico Conversations. Basically, this is our eighth edition. Like you must all be aware, we've been doing this now for this is the eighth edition. So, which means we've actually done seven of this so far. I'm actually stylishly whiling away the time, so we have a few, one or two more people join us. But then we'll proceed right away. And the thing for this particular conversation, the episode 8 of this, is why most partnerships fail and how to structure them properly. Now, on behalf of Dinamico Consulting, I'd like to warmly welcome you all to episode 8 of our quarterly webinar series. We do this every quarter. So typically, this is the first for this particular year. We're supposed to have this session. Oh, thank you very much. I see your fireworks there, David. Thank you. Then David now. We're supposed to have this sometime in March, which meant Q1, but for some reason we have to push it a bit forward. So we'll likely be having the second of this year by June, which will be the Q2 edition. So typically this is the Q1 2026 edition. And of course, I welcome you all once again. Now, today's conversation is one that sits at the heart of business sources. Unfortunately, business failure as well. So it's not just about business sources. We're also looking at it's not about just business success, rather. I meant success there, not just business success. We also look at business failure at the same time. And the theme, as we talked about earlier, as you might all be aware, and as you can also see on my screen, is why most partnerships fail and how to structure them properly. Now, when we talk about partnerships, what exactly? It's a very very broad context, which I expect more of my facilitators or my speakers will be throwing more light on in the course of this conversation. Now, partnerships are very powerful. What do they do for us? Basically, partnerships allow us to combine strengths, right? Allows us to share risks, and of course, allows us to even scale faster than we could. As it said, typically, if you want to go, if you want to go, you go alone. But if you want to go fast, you go together, basically. Because just imagine when you're having a walk with someone. If you're walking alone, somehow the journey looks a bit longer, it looks a bit farther. But when you have somebody walking with you, the journey seems a bit, it seems a bit faster when you work with someone, and that's basically what partnerships also do for businesses. Basically, allows us, combine our strengths, collective strengths, strength here and strength there together. We share risk, and of course, we scale faster than we would rather do when we work alone. Now, but there's a reality here. Many partnerships don't fail because the idea was bad. Sometimes it's not really about the idea. It's not really about whether the idea was bad or good, but they fail because the structure was weak. Most of the time, partnerships fail because of the structure. Right. Too often, partnerships are built on a lot of things. Sometimes excitement, or you see someone that, oh, yes, this is a new business idea. Let's jump on this. And because of the excitement, immediately everybody wants to jump into that business. Sometimes you get partnerships out of excitement. Maybe you're talking with someone, you just share a very brief idea with someone, and the person's like, oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. I'm going to invest in this. The person wants to give you money. He wants to, be part of that process almost immediately. Sometimes too, partnerships are built on, most often they are built on excitement, on trust. Right, because I trust this person. Oh, he's my brother, she's my sister. We come from the same place. So that means typically we can trust one another, and yes, it should work. Sometimes it's just some verbal agreements. There's nothing really put down. You just discuss, oh, let's do this, and then business has started. But then when partnerships, the downside of sometimes these partnerships lack clarity, right? It lacks systems, it lacks governance. And when pressure comes, as of course it always does, those cracks will begin to show. The cracks where there's a lack of clarity, lack of systems, lack of governance, it begin to naturally show. And so today we're going to be unpacking this, right? We're going to be looking at why partnerships break down, and more importantly, how to build them right from the start. So let's do a bit of housekeeping very quickly. This session will run for about maybe an hour, 30 minutes to about 2 hours. So I see my second speaker is also here. You're welcome, Bukola. We'll be having two key segments. The first section, or session one, will be talking about why most partnerships fail. And this section will be facilitated by Martin Ejenobo. I'm going to be sharing his profile in a bit now. And then we'll have the second session, which will be taken by Bukola Oladeji, where we're looking at structuring partnerships for success. Of course, we're also going to be having interactive moments. We're going to have a lot of audience engagements. I'm glad to see we're already having quite a number of people in already. We expect more to join us even as we proceed with this conversation. We'll have interactive moments. So please feel free. If you look at your screen, you will see a comment box below. You could type it. And maybe we should even do a very quick one. Just in the comment section, just so we can test that. Type where you're let us know where you're speaking from. You can let us know where you're coming, where you're joining us from. What part of Nigeria? Martin, I think you might have there's a bit of conflict there. I don't know why. Okay. All right. Thank you. So let's see what part of Nigeria if you're in Nigeria, what part of Nigeria you're joining us from. If you're outside Nigeria, what part of the world you're joining us from. So let me see if I can have a few feedbacks in the comment section there. So please, you have the comment box. For those who can't see it, it's just on my bottom right. My bottom right, you'd see a box there. So you could just chat, just drop your name, just drop anything at all, so we can test that. Of course, we're also going to be having a Q&A session towards the end. So please feel free to drop your questions in the chat as well, even as we go along. And without further ado, I would like to introduce my first speaker. That is Martin Ejenobo. I'm going to be reading his profile very quickly now in a bit. So let's just quickly take Martin's profile. I hope you can all see my screen. Please, can you confirm if my screen is still very visible? I believe it is. Right, and I'm going to read this profile very quickly. Martin Ejenobo is a seasoned business advisor, innovator, innovation strategist, and founder, CEO of Casafric Nigeria, a leading property technology firm based in Lagos. With over 23 years of cross industry experience, he has built a strong reputation for delivering impactful solutions across strategy, human resources, FMCG, technology, logistics, and the not for profit sector. His diverse background enables him to approach challenges with a well rounded practical perspective. Martin has led strategic innovation and capacity building sessions for notable organizations, including the Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce, Duffield, AMSCO, the Nigerian French Chamber of Commerce, and Sky Capital Limited. Renowned for his ability to combine analytical depth and creative thinking, he empowers individuals and organizations with actionable frameworks for innovation, sustainable growth, and effective leadership. His engaging delivery style and results-driven approach make him a sought-after speaker and facilitator. On that note, I'd like to welcome Martin. Martin, can we just hear a word from you for a bit? Just tell us. Just charge up the audience for a bit. Thank you very much, Martin. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here. So the topic is one that's really at the heart of everybody, and not just at an individual level or at business. Also, you look at this in terms of countries. Just recently in Africa, some West African countries moved into military rule, and they formed an alliance because they knew that they couldn't stand on their own. It's called the AES, right? The other countries, we have ECOWAS, right? We've seen EU. Countries are also doing what we call partnerships. And so partnership is at country level, it's at individual level. We see this in marriages. It's at business level because one is too small a number to achieve greatness. So partnership is important. If structured right, partnership becomes life improvement. If structured wrongly, it becomes life imprisonment. So
Fantastic.
it's one that is very dear to our hearts, and hopefully myself and our co-speaker, and the co-speaker will be able to do justice to this, and we'll get something beautiful tonight.
Thank you very much, Martin, for that very quick introduction. At this point, I'm going to be going into the second panelist's profile. That is Bukola Oladeji. I like to call her Madam Resilience. All right. She knows why. Anyway, I'm going to read Bukola's profile very quickly. Bukola Oladeji is a seasoned human resources consultant, certified emotional health practitioner, psychotherapist, and life coach with a proven track record of transforming individuals and organizations through practical results driven interventions. With a unique blend of corporate experience and deep psychological insight, she delivers high impact trainings, keynote sessions, and coaching programs focused on emotional health, leadership effectiveness, personal development, and workplace productivity. She is the lead consultant at Emerge Consulting, where she provides HR solutions, business development support, and capacity building programs that drive organizational growth and performance. Bukola has trained diverse teams across sectors, equipping leaders and professionals with tools for both personal and professional success. With a background in banking, she brings a strong understanding of corporate dynamics and performance culture. Passionate about mental health, she also leads transformational initiatives that promote healing, self awareness, and sustainable growth, making her a highly sought after speaker and coach. Bukola, how are you? Good evening. I see your camera is turned on already. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
Let's
Good
let's have
evening.
you
Good evening.
let's have you check our audience for maybe another 1 minute or 2 minutes or thereabouts. Over to you, please.
All right. Thank you very much. The foundation that I would like to give to partnership is that most of us, especially those of us that are born, that are millennials or early Gen Zs, the foundation we have about partnership is that when two people come together to uh, do a business, at the end of the day, somebody will kill the other person and that person takes over that business. Now, that is that belief system is from Nollywood or what our parents have told us and what have you. People have partnered and they have fulfilled their dreams. They have even their businesses have been taken to an imaginable level just because they partnered with the right persons and just because they put the right structures in place. So what we are here to learn actually is nothing new. It is just a reminder of the structures that we're supposed to put in place when we're talking about partnership. That's what we're here to learn. Thank you for having me, Dynamico Consulting.
All right. Thank you very much. Fired up. I guess we're very fired up and looking forward. I don't know why my audio is clashing with Martin. So I guess maybe when I'm speaking, Martin might have to mute. And when Martin is speaking, I'll have to mute. So we don't have clashes here and there. Yeah. Well, thank you very much again for that, Martin. Thank you very much, Bukola. So, yes, we're looking at the first part of this conversation here today, where we'll be discussing. Oh, of course. Okay, let me introduce myself too. I think that's in order. I'll be moderating this session, so I'll quickly read my citation if that is allowed. My name is Michael Shile. I'm the principal consultant of Dinamico Consulting and, of course, the host of the Dinamico Conversations. I've done this for about 7 sessions already. This is the eighth one. And like I said in the last one, I'm hoping a time will come where I have to step aside and someone else can moderate this. And perhaps I might even, maybe I might even be a speaker in that one instead of a moderator. So yeah, Michael Shile is a seasoned consultant, trainer, and strategist with over 15 years of experience in educational consulting, brand management, capacity building, and organizational development. As the principal consultant at Dinamico Consulting, he has led the design and delivery of impactful training workshops, coaching sessions, and development programs for individuals, schools, and organizations. His facilitation style blends clarity, creativity, and practicality, ensuring participants gain both knowledge and actionable tools. Beyond consulting, Michael has held senior leadership roles at various organizations, including executive director, consultant, and partner positions, where he strengthened his expertise in process automation, client management, and team leadership. An economics graduate of Lagos State University, is passionate about helping people and institutions unlock potential and achieve sustainable growth. So that's me. And thank you again, once again, everyone, for joining us in this session today. We'll be going right away into the first part of this conversation where we are looking at why most partnerships fail. Of course, Martin and Genobo is going to be taking us in this session for maybe another 10, 15 minutes. But I mean, I'm sure we can manage our time effectively. We're going to be looking at some very, very important questions in the course of this. You know, we talk about things like misalignment of vision. We talk about undefined roles and responsibilities. So basically, these are some of the things that people have said make partnerships fail, right? Among others, we also still have financial disputes, right? We have poor communication. We have absence of exit strategy because sometimes it gets to a point when you feel you're already stuck in that partnership and you think it's time to go. What is the exit strategy? How do you get out of that partnership? When do you know that, wow, I'm stuck here? Because imagine you are in a partnership for 10 years before you realize that you've wasted so much of time. Interestingly, I'm currently working on a series called Boardroom Scriptures. It should be launching any moment from now. I mean, in the next few days, basically. One of the very first topics we are talking about that relates to something similar to this, where I talked about the story of Jacob and Laban. I mean, I don't know how many of you are very familiar with the Bible story there, but we find that somewhere around Genesis chapter 29, I think, or thereabouts to 31, where Jacob served, all right, his uncle Laban for the agreement, the deal. What basically the deal he thought they had was I was going to serve for 7 years for his daughter. At the end of 7 years, it was something else. He was giving the older daughter who he did not want. So he had to serve an extra 7 years again. Eventually, he spent 20 years working for this person, which was not originally planned. The entire thing, because it was not well defined, literally, I don't want to say it didn't ruin his life, but it literally made his life so much complicated, more complicated than it would have actually added. So, we'll be looking, Martin will be taking over from me at this point, and of course, Martin, you have the floor. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Okay.
All right, Martin, can you hear us? We can't hear you at this point. Hello, Martin. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. So I was saying that thank you so much, Benga, and thank you, Bukola. You guys set the framework for what we're going to discuss tonight, and I'm sure that we're going to do justice to the topic. Now, I'd stress the importance of partnerships because, and I said, I mean, this is a very known saying that one is too small a number to achieve greatness. But the other thing is, you don't have all the money, you don't have all the knowledge, skills, and abilities, you don't have all the time to do that project that you need to do. Partnership gives you leverage. You need it, but you need to do it right. So we're talking about why it fails, right? Because partnership isn't a bad thing altogether. It fails when it's done wrongly. Everything that is going to be discussed, everything that will be said falls about 95% falls on this part. It falls on the agreement, whether it's finances that went bad, whether it is expectations. When I have something in my mind, right? If I say, let's go out to eat, and I say, hey, Bukola, let's go out to eat. In her mind, she has something she wants to eat, right? In my mind, I have something I want to buy, or maybe I think she would like. So there are two uncommunicated expectations. And so when reality comes, you now see a lot of disparity. So much of these things, whether it's infighting, it's the finances, whatever, it really, really boils down to the fact that people do not sit down to draft the agreement right, right? So that's one really big thing. We don't write, we don't reduce our thoughts to writing. Because if you say in black and white that this and this and this is what is expected, even if that thing, so again, let me give a very typical example. Let's say I spend my money anyhow, but Benga is very he manages his money better, right? And we have this split in our business. He takes 30%, I take 70%. And by the end of the month, I need funds. But he's doing well. And I say, Benga, you cheated me. We can go back to the books and look at the fact that, oh, Benga took 30%, I took my 70%. How I blew my 70% is my business because it is written and then we have documents to follow. You can literally see there's transparency, full transparency. And so the need to have that, those issues don't come up. So people don't draw it up well. There's one big fallacy when people draw up agreements. They have this fairness fallacy.
Okay, I think we lost Martin for a moment there, but that was a very interesting conversation. I like the way it was where it was coming from there, particularly in terms of and which is one of the things that happens a lot in a lot of partnerships, because at some point you feel that maybe one partner is cheating the other because one person seems to be doing better than the other, and it might just be a case of personal preferences or personal management, knowing how to manage things better, which is why it's very important that these things are put down in black and white. I'm just trying to hold for Martin meanwhile while he comes. Martin, I don't know if we have you back now. All right. So it's very important to be able to put these things in perspective there because, yeah, most of the time it happens from maybe when there are no formal structures set up to, to carry the partnership accordingly. Um, is Martin back? Okay. Anyway, this happens. It's technology, I guess. So we'll just have to, make do. But I'll just see if I can continue to hold the fort for him. Meanwhile, right. One of the things I also took from what he was saying earlier too is also a question of the vision, right? He didn't really emphasize on that. I expect he's going to be doing that perhaps when he comes back. But then misaligned vision too definitely plays a large role because when partnerships begin generally, everyone is excited, but then a lot of people don't ask the right questions like, okay, where exactly are we going? Or what does success look like? What's your definition of success? How do you define what success is, particularly? And from there, one partner may look at it from maybe just looking at growth and expansion. Maybe that's what that partner's plan is or his intention is in that business. While another partner is looking at stability and steady income. Everybody has, so when visions are not aligned, there is no how that partnership is not going to suffer. Because even the Bible says something. I think Amos 3:3, if I'm correct, that how can two work together except they be agreed? So if there's no agreement, if there's no alignment in vision, how do you really want to work together? So that difference alone, when visions are not aligned, can definitely destroy a partnership. All right. Okay, I got a comment earlier. Somebody said that they are not able to drop comments in the comment box. Let me quickly see if I can fix that while we wait for Martin to join us back. And I don't know, meanwhile, while we wait for that, Bukola, I don't know if you want to maybe drop a word or add to one of the things. I know this is not your session yet, but then it's fine. Anybody, you might want to just weigh in and maybe help us.
All right, so thank you so much, Benga. Thank you, everyone. The truth is, some of us, before we go into that partnership, the only thing we have is the passion. We don't even have the knowledge that is required for the business that we intend to start. So that can pose a big challenge. Beyond the fact that you must actually cooperate or you must partner with the right person who has the same vision as yours. I think I was trying to shed light on the fact that you must be on the same page. You must come to terms with what you intend to achieve and what your partner intends to achieve. So basically beyond all that, so let me start my session properly. Benga, I don't know if I can go ahead and start my session.
Okay, I will have said you should, but just so we establish this very well, because we currently, the idea was to flow from why partnerships fail and segue into strategies
This
for success of
structuring.
partnerships. But then it's fine. I think I'll just continue the interim for Martin. I really wonder what is going on, why he's having so much challenges there. But yes, I talked about misalignment of vision for starters, which is one of the major reasons, right? When that alone can destroy partnerships, especially when visions are not well aligned. Then we have the point where we have undefined roles and responsibilities. This is also very important because if there is no clarity in roles, right, and there's assumption, you assume, oh, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. If it's not defined, a lot of issues can go wrong. Everyone interferes, no one is accountable, and then what happens in that case? We start having conflicts, right? We have things like, some statements come up. Look, I thought you were the one handling this. Oh, why did you make that decision? And these things become very common because the roles have not been clearly defined, right? We also have financial disputes too. This one is even a major part, a major challenge in partnerships. We have money, basically, as we all agree, is one of the fastest ways to break up any partnership. In fact, I dare to say, maybe I should take a quick poll there. If we're talking about what the part money plays, I dare to say maybe about 60 to 70%, if not more, of, of partnerships are affected because of
Can
money.
we talk tomorrow?
Money.
I'm in a session, please.
Oh, okay. All right. So a lot of times we have money can also play a major role there, profit sharing disagreements, where people have already agreed, we're going to share this 60-40 or 50-50. Then someone else says that no, we cannot share it 60-40 because I've incurred some costs already. These things are not clearly defined. You don't factor in, are you sharing profit before costs have been taken out? Are you sharing based on revenue? Or are you sharing based on profits? What exactly are you sharing? Are you sharing based on whatever comes in, or you have to deduct this first? If these things are not clearly put there, it becomes a problem, right? There's lack of transparency too as part of the financial dispute issue too. If there's no transparency where one person doesn't know what the other one is doing, everyone claims they are working. This one says, oh, yes, I'm. And again, let's also not forget that partnerships don't only relate to businesses alone. It does not only relate to business partner or business relationships. It's not only when people are working together. We could have a vendor, maybe for example, someone who is doing a business with you. I'm trying to also turn on the comment section so people are able to just give me a moment to quickly do that, so people can drop their comments as well. So I'm going to activate that now, so we're all able to also drop our comments in the comment section. So activating that now. Once I think I'm already activating that for a few people, but I think I'll just so if you want to drop a comment very soon, you should be able to drop your comments. But while I move on there, then of course we also have different parameters. You might determine that, okay, if I want to spend this money, we want to spend for this month, let's spend on recruiting more people. While the other one says no, instead of spending to recruit more people, why don't we invest it in capital intensive projects? So if financial structures are not clear from day one, problems are inevitable. Right. We also have poor communication. In fact, this is also a major one that affects partnerships. Many partners simply don't communicate effectively. A lot of them avoid difficult conversations. The real conversations they should have, they try to avoid it. They try to push it and keep postponing. And what you're simply doing there is that you're just postponing the evil day. Right. Some suppress concerns. A partner is sharing a concern that, look, I don't agree with this. You have a business conversation, for example. You already agreed this person is going to supply you goods. You've paid for it. The agreement was that it was going to supply these goods next week. Next week comes and it's telling you something else. In fact, maybe eventually you find out that you've been waiting for 2 weeks and yet the goods have not been supplied. But because you don't have it structured and it has not been defined, the person can as well claim that you should understand, my son was sick, my wife was in the hospital, and many other funny excuses people give because communication was not clearly done. And some also make assumptions, over time, all these issues, small issues now become major conflicts. Then, of course, majorly in partnerships, when partnerships get to a point where it's no longer sustainable, there needs to be an exit strategy. And this is one area a lot of partnerships fail to take into cognizance. A lot of times it's ignored. Nobody enters a partnership planning to leave by default. A lot of them plan that, oh, this should work. Martin, if you're back, you can feel free to bust at any point. I don't know if you're back yet. I'm still just holding the fort for you. Meanwhile, I'm doing a lot of these things from my head, but then thankfully, thank God for preparation, if I should say, right? So, nobody actually enters a partnership with a plan to leave. But the truth is, in partnerships, people change. The same person that was, so fantastic at the beginning eventually might become, oh, why did I get into this? What did I get myself into? So people change, situations change. Let's look at Nigeria, for example, the economy alone. Imagine people who entered a partnership in 2023 before this current government came into power with expectations and assumptions. You think it's the same assumptions that they can have at this point. A lot of things have changed. I can imagine how many businesses have shut down in the last couple of years or in the last couple of months because of the economic situation. It's one of the reasons why when I personally, most of the time when I plan or when I'm trying to write my plans for the year, I don't do a year plan. I try to avoid it as much as possible. Not because I'm deliberately being lazy, but I do that because I also understand that you can't predict. Let's look at 2023. 2023, yeah, for example. We started the year 2023 with fuel price at 195 naira per liter. By November 2023, we're buying fuel at about 580 naira per liter. So imagine that you plan your business in January, that, based on this, based on that. What happens? So for me, I rather plan in quarters. I mean, you don't have to do it, but it's just my own personal philosophy. I do Q1 plans. 3 months is at least enough time for me to be able to see. Then by the end of Q1, I can evaluate, okay, what went on in Q1? Why couldn't we achieve this in Q1? Or what do we need to be able to do better in Q2? Because situations will always change. So without an exit plan, separation becomes messy. It becomes very difficult. You start looking at the number of hours, the time you've spent in that business, the time you've spent in that relationship. Because it's not only in businesses. This particular topic spans a lot, spans a lot of issues. It's not just only about businesses. It spans employee-employer relationships. It spans client-vendor relationship. Even spans marriages, even friendships. It's an all-encompassing subject, basically. So without an exit plan, separation becomes messy. That's why you find some people who are so fantastic as partners, all of a sudden they don't talk anymore. When you see some level of enmities that happen, now you begin to wonder, were these guys actually partners before? They don't talk anymore, and they're all out to destroy one another. Interestingly, on the lighter note, look at what's currently going on social media. I'm sure you guys are all following. Those of you who know Very Dark Man, for instance, and I'm sure the funny thing is that the same Very Dark Man and Showore, barely a month ago, they joined forces together to defend a woman who they felt was being oppressed by the minister and all that. All of a sudden, the same Very Dark Man and Showore, and look at them on each other's throats. So this is the same how fickle partnerships can get. I mean, that's not really a partnership though, but then these are the things that happen. So you begin to wonder that the same people all of a sudden have become mortal enemies. Of course, businesses also collapse unnecessarily because you look at it, when you look at how much time you've invested and eventually that business just collapses, it's not really a good place to be where partnerships are concerned. Then, of course, ego and leadership conflicts too. Partnerships also fail when everyone wants to lead. Everyone wants to lead. Everyone wants to be. That's why it's important to define the roles. That's why most times in businesses, you have what they call the C-suite level. You have the CEO, you have the COO, you have the CFO, you have the CTO, and everybody is defined. Everybody knows where they stand. So the CFO will not want to start jumping to play the COO's role. The CTO will not want to jump and start playing the CFO's role. Everybody knows where they are supposed to be. So power struggles, ego, because everybody wants to lead. No one wants to yield. This one is saying this, another person is saying that, and no one wants to actually let go. And because of that, we have power struggles, we have emotional decision making, and of course, there's a breakdown in trust. And we start having cliques and cabals. You have a lot of business where you have partners who have their own people. Partner A has his own sets. Partner B has his own sets. The set of partner A don't want to do anything. So they start sabotaging each other's efforts, and eventually it's actually going to affect the business or that relationship. So yes, of course, the lack of formal structure too is very important too. I mean, it's one of the issues that also happens in partnerships. When there are no formal structures, most partnerships as we have today are just verbal. You just talk, I will do this, I will do that. It's informal, right? Poorly documented. And we also need to understand that these things is not only restricted to formal or corporate businesses. Even the market seller, right? You are a fashion designer, you are a carpenter. Even among your employees, you can have these things documented. Sometimes it's not until you go and do one major long agreement document. It could be as little as a formal WhatsApp conversation that just memorializes, that confirms it, and there is something you can hold on to. It could be an email, it could be a text message, but something has to be put there. If you want to go verbal, then you want to make it a voice note where you say it, and one day you can bring that voice note out. That should also suffice. But most times it's best when it's documented, right? Most of these things are poorly documented, and when issues arise, there is nothing to fall back on, right? So in closing, right, if there's anything I want to really dwell on, particularly on this area of why partnerships fail, is the fact that if you take one thing, right, it should be that partnership failure is rarely, I'm looking for the way to put it. Most times it's not accidental. It's usually structural. It starts from the structure. If there is no structure, there is no how partnerships will survive. I think I'll leave it at that point, and so that I've literally done Martin's work for him. Martin is still nowhere to be found. I'm sure he's going to join us before the end of this session. So, with that, I think we can now move away from why partnerships fail now and look at the structures, or basically the strategies for ensuring partnerships success. So, we've been able to see so far from this first part of the conversation that partnership failures are not mysterious. It's not like one maybe juju somewhere, or one village people, as they like to call it. It's not mysterious. It's usually predictable. From a point, you can always, in fact, sometimes from the very beginning of the partnership, you can actually tell if this partnership is going to work or it's not going to work. Right. The next question now becomes, how do we get it right? Right. And that brings us into our second session. And at this point, I'll be handing over to Ms. Bukola Oladeji to take us through structuring partnerships for success. Over to you, Bukola. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Benga, for having me, and thank you for, on behalf of Martin, thank you for doing justice to why partnerships fail, especially
Mm,
around here. And generally, I mean, just done justice to it. At this point, I would like to give this introduction. Partnerships don't usually fail because of bad people.
mm,
They fail because of unclear agreements between good people. It is not
mm,
because the two people or more that are involved are bad people. It's just because good people refuse to have clear agreements. Two intelligent, well meaning individuals can come together with excitement, vision, and trust and still destroy a business, a relationship, and
mm.
sometimes their reputation. The real question is not should you partner, because somebody is beginning to ask themselves that why should I partner if this is what can be involved. The real question is, do you know how to structure a partnership so it survives pressure, growth, money, and conflict? Anyways, I will deal with that in the structuring. One of the
Just a moment, please, Bukola, before you go on. Martin, I see you're back. I had to take your session, and I think I feel I was able to do justice, but don't
I was
worry.
available while when I heard that you said I was not around, I was speaking, but for some reason you couldn't hear me, so I had to log off and
Wonderful,
log in.
wonderful, wonderful. I mean, I hope it was you just me. Was anybody able to hear Martin? Because at some point you literally disappeared. We couldn't hear you at
Wow,
all. So sorry about that. So sorry about that. So
it's
Bukola,
fine.
just a moment. So basically, what I just touched on so far, I was able to look at a couple of areas and all that. But I'm sure when we get to question and answer, though, I'm sure we'll still be able to get a lot of your
Yes,
insights. So
that
sorry
would be
about
fine.
that. Yeah,
That's
Bukola, please. Yeah, you're welcome. You can continue, please. Bukola, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So the question I would like you to ask is that I would like to ask you is, do you know how to structure a partnership so it survives pressure, growth, money, and conflicts? Today, I'm not here to motivate you about partnership. Far from it. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to show you how to build one that can actually work. Because the truth be told, if you have all it takes for it to work, it can actually work. Let me say that good intentions are not strategy. Let me just come up with this example. I go to Benga and I say, Benga, let's partner on this business. I have this training thing. I got this contract on this training, and I don't think I'll be able to handle it alone because of the largeness of the contract. And that was the information I gave Benga. And Benga said, okay, let's get right to it. There was no clear terms as regards how much I would pay Benga. We didn't have any agreement. Do you think that agreement or that partnership, do you think it will survive? Or at the end of it, like Benga said earlier, there will be some rancors. Please, I need reactions. Or you can type in the comment section. Do you think that kind of agreement, because it's a fantastic idea. I got this partnership, this contract, and I feel that okay, Dynamico's consulting can actually partner with me to do this training. Do you think that kind of agreement will suffice? with the little information that I have provided.
No, it won't.
Okay, so that's a question for
Oh,
everyone, I
thank you
guess.
so
Can,
much.
can we? Okay, I think
Yes.
the app is enabled now. Okay, I see a comment. Waters said no. Feel free to drop your comments, please. The chat has been enabled for everyone now. So I think yeah, feel free to drop your comments or questions. We can chat is enabled now for everyone, please.
All right, thank you, Gbenga. So good intentions are not a strategy. The fact that I got the deal and I do not have a definite strategy in place will not make that partnership work. We have established the fact that partnership is beyond business. There's marriage partnership. There are several types of partnership. It can be between employee and employer, right? So, whatever business strategy, whether business, whether marriage, whether contract, or whatever it is, it must be defined. So, if there is no vision, you will not succeed in any form of partnership. And I will define what this means for any partnership that you are going into. Most times people don't have the clear vision. They just have the sparkle, they have the drive, they have the passion that, okay, I think I can do this, and they can just decide to work on that. That is not enough to work on. So the first question you're going to answer is the question of vision. What exactly are we building? So, with the example that I gave earlier about myself and Benga coming together to do training for a set of people, what exactly are we building? What do we intend to achieve? What does success look like in numbers? Is it when we're able to make money in billions, right? Depending on what we agree. So we both parties are supposed to come together and say, okay, let's put this thing down. The power of pen and paper when we're talking about partnerships cannot be overemphasized. So let's agree together. If we're able to do this in figure, what's the percentage that goes to Dynamico Consulting? What's the percentage that comes to Emerge? Right? So I got the contract, I got the deal, I bid for the job. Can we do 70-30? Since what you're bringing to the table is training. I mean, these are details that should be shared while you're discussing with your intending partner. Another thing that you shouldn't leave out is ambition level. Some people are conservative, some people are moderate, some people are aggressive. Our ambition level can never be the same. Some of us we are hungrier, we are more hungry than the other. So it depends on your ambition level. Some people are very, very ambitious. So if you're dealing with someone that is ambitious, if your level of ambition is moderate or conservative, you will not understand. You will believe that this person is overzealous or over ambitious just because with the level of ambition that they have, they are driving the force. Another thing is myself and Benga, we're supposed to actually decide, is this a long-term thing or a short-term thing? We have to decide. So long term, if I mean short time, I mean maybe 0 to 12 months. Is it something we can do and achieve within 0 to 12 months? So if I mean mid term, maybe 1 to 3 years, and long term can be 3 years above. So we have to also answer the impact definition. Impact is beyond money, it's beyond the financial implication of that partnership. We should also talk about the socials. We should talk about legacy. It is not to make the immediate money and we move on. So all this that I've talked about, we build the direction for the partnership. Another thing that I would like to talk about is we have to define roles. Benga spoke to that. We are supposed to define roles, and I came up with a framework. If we are going to define roles, we are supposed to define RACI. That's what I call it, RACI. Right. So, RASI, the R means responsibility. Who executes what? If we don't define rules, I will assume that he will take this part of the training. It's just an assumption. So, if I do not define it, if responsibility is not properly defined, it will not succeed. So, accountability. Most people don't like accountability. Benga may feel he doesn't want to be, and I intentionally I'm using this example so that we all can relate with it. Benga may feel that why should I be accountable to you on this? And I'm also feeling the same that no, I brought the deal. I can't be transparent. I can't open all the books? Why should you know all the figures? These are details that go on when we're talking about partnership. Accountability. And the C is consulted. We must be able to consult and dialogue. And the last is I, informed. I must inform you of the basic steps that we have agreed on, the step to step, but as I proceed in the journey of the contract or the partnership. So everything, RASE, like I defined it, every step, we must define responsibilities. Who executes what? We must break it down. Accountability, we must be accountable to each other. We must consult with each other. Okay, so I'm stuck in this. What do you think I can do? Because it's a partnership business. If the business fails, we fail together, right? So, and I must inform him as well. So that is that about role definition and decision making authority. Let me emphasize a little on decision making authority. So if it is not well defined, because I brought the deal, I may assume, it's just an assumption that I should be the one to make most of the decisions. I'll just get, I'll just defer to him, or I'll just let him know, I'll just inform him about decisions. It is not supposed to be like that. Right. So I'm supposed to carry him along. It must be well defined that based on XYZ reasons, you don't have the full details of this partnership. For whatever it is, I have the so this is, it must be well defined. It must be well defined. So when we're talking about decision making authority, I call the framework DARE. So the D stands for decide. Who has final say? Who has final say on what? It has to be agreed from the onset. And the A is approve. Who signs off what? To what level is am I supposed to sign off? To what level is Benga supposed to sign off? And recommend. Who possesses what? And the last one is execute. If two people can veto everything, nothing moves. So the third point, I've mentioned three. This is the third one. The
I'm
first
sorry,
one
sorry,
is
sorry, caller, please. Can you help us again with that? There, DARE, the D for, just so I could put that in
If
the.
thank you for that. So the D stands for decide. Who has final say? Who decides what? That's
Right.
what D
Okay.
stands for. A stands for approve. Who
Mm,
signs off what? Who
mm,
signs off what? So
mm,
R is recommend. Who
mm.
possesses what? And the E is execute. Who
Thank you so
does
much.
what? And that is for decision making. That's the framework for decision making. So I've talked about the vision and I've talked about defining roles and decision making. So the third point that I would like to talk about, which is very, very important, is financial and ownership structure. So, because what Benga is doing for me in my business is limited to just training, because I have other aspects of that business or that agreement or that contract that I'm doing into and that I'm also uh, going to. I can limit the financial structure to 30 70. 70 because I got the deal. 70 because there are other business development strategy that I'm putting in place for this business. So the only thing he's doing is to train. That's the aspect of the business that he is doing. Financial and ownership structure. That's what I want to speak with. So the framework that I have designed for this is contribute. Contribute. That is the framework that I have designed for you. So C stands for capital investment. In this kind of agreement that I've just explained, there is no necessarily financial investment, but there's capital investment that has to do with intellectual property, time. These things are worth more than money. So I can't say there is no, because there's no financial commitment, there's no capital investment. There are several ways that you can commit to a business without having a dime. So the capital investment, time is capital investment. Um, Intellectual property. So if you are not the one bringing, if a party, for example, is bringing the money, the other person is executing with his capital with his intellectual property, how do you now define that? You bring, like for example, Bing and let me use Martin this time around. Martin and I are going into a partnership business, and What Martin is doing is, I don't have the time for this and I don't really know much about this, but I will give you 100 million to do this. You have the idea, you have the wherewithal to run, you already have a structured company where you can execute this project. So what I'll do is to give you the 100 million to execute this project. So this is a form of partnership. Capital investment. So I'm talking to capital investment now. So what Martin is bringing to the table is 100 million. What I am bringing to the table is my experience. I'm bringing my experience. I'm bringing my team. I'm bringing much more. I'm bringing the execution to the table. So both of us must sit down, of course, with the an expert must be present. I mean, a lawyer, so that we come to terms with how we're going to do it. So if I have the idea and Martin doesn't give me the 100 million, I may not be able to fulfill that thing that I intend to achieve. So contribute. C stands for capital investment, and O stands for opportunity costs. Very important when we're talking about financial ownership in business. Opportunity cost, network access. So Martin doesn't have the time, but he has the money. He has ability to connect me to XYZ. That's network access. Time commitment. He doesn't have the time. I have the time. Risk exposure. He is the one taking most of the risk because he's putting out a lot of money. I'm also taking risk because I'm putting my effort, time, and what have you into it. So intellectual property, like I've mentioned earlier, brand value, unique expertise, track record, effort. Effort also counts when we're trying to measure who takes what. Contribute. That's the acronym that I named the work frame. So another thing that is also very important is formal agreement. This cannot be overemphasized. So everything I've said without formal agreement is nothing. Bega was speaking to the fact that you can actually do an agreement. I mean, you can communicate through WhatsApp. I don't think it can have, I mean, we've had to tender that in court. However, I will suggest, since we have learnt about structure, let's put it down properly. Let's have the agreement. I mean, let a lawyer, a legal person, go through the terms that we have agreed and let it be signed, let it be backed up properly. Now that we know, it is not because somebody wants to play a fast one. It's so that I can be at peace with the agreement. I know that you're not going to default and I'm not going to default. Word of mouth will not suffice. So formal agreement, please have a partnership agreement, shareholders agreement. Who gets what? Is it 55-45? Just have a definite written agreement. Roles and responsibilities must be talked about. Let it be documented. Financial policy, how we intend to share profits, right? So, and a very important thing when we're talking about formal agreements, is exit plan, exit clause. So at the point that I am not able to bring all that I'm bringing to the table, at the point that I'm not able to execute what is expected of me, it will be asked of me, I'll be asked to exit. It must be put. That's very important, because this if this clause is not imputed, at what point you will be frustrated, and I can also, for one reason or the other, because it could be that I'm involved in other businesses and I'm not able to bring to the table what I used to. And I don't expect you to react because there was no clause, there was no agreement as regards who can exit at what point. So please, formal agreement cannot be overemphasized when we're talking about proper partnership. Communication frame. I won't spend more time on this because I know my time is fast spent. Right. Communication is very important. There must be weekly operation, monthly performance, quarterly strategy meeting. I like the fact that Benga said that we should have a quarter, that the planning should be quarterly. I completely agree, because you can't predict the way things change, right? We can't predict it. So it's better we plan quarterly, actually. I would suggest that we plan quarterly because I also practice that. Because if you have planned yearly and things are not going as planned, you will be frustrated. And it may actually bring down the business. So
All right.
communication.
comment. Sorry, I think I saw Martin raise a hand. I don't know. Maybe he wants to, just so he doesn't lose his train of thought. Just maybe wants to add something or ask a question. Martin, correct? I saw your
Yes,
hand.
sir. Yes. So I think just to buttress what Bukola was saying, if it's not written, it cannot be enforced, right? Nobody can enforce your thought. See how written rules change the whole game. America has is one of the most litigious jurisdictions on earth. Every 7 seconds, somebody is suing somebody, either at federal or state level, for anything. They can sue you for just looking at them and say you looked at them indecently. Now, divorce rates are about in the 70th percentile, about 70 something percent. Once they change the written rule that once you divorce, the each couple has 50-50 custody of the child, and it's 50, everything is 50-50.
Yeah.
Divorces in Detroit dropped by 25% just by altering the rule. They didn't have to beat anybody, force anybody. You just change the written rule. So the written rule helps people to comply in terms of behavioral compliance, right? It's very important that we write. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. If it is not written, it may not, I may deny, it will be your word against mine. So I can actually deny that we had that agreement. So it's better it is written. Right. So communication, it has to be clear. It has to be clear. It has to be clear. I cannot overemphasize that. Let it be clear. Have weekly review if possible. Have monthly performance review and quarterly review. Let your language be clear. Don't depend on assumption and take emotions out of business. Emotion is not business. It's not going to work. So don't be emotional. Say it the way you feel and be clear, right? And when okay, before I move to that, don't let me jump ahead of myself. Be accountable. Every meeting ends with actions plus owners. So if we agree that at the end of this meeting, Benga takes this, Martin takes this, I take this. So what should be done is let's put action that okay, this is the time frame. You're expected to do this within the next 2 weeks. Let's put action. That's when I will not be offended if any of the parties has not done their part. And another thing that we must confirm when we're talking about communication is at the end of each session that we have agreed, maybe at the end of each quarter or thereabout, we should actually review what's working and what is not. So if an aspect of the business is not working, we should review it. Okay, can we take this aspect, this part, this aspect of the business? Can we take it to somebody else? Can we delegate it to somebody else? So that because we all are after result, is not for any ulterior motive. We just want results. So we can review and check what's working and what is not. So my second to the last point now, which is very important, conflict resolution mechanism. This is where most people usually um, challenges that can never be resolved. So conflict is not the problem. Actually, we all conflict. I mean, there's conflict every time. Poor handling is conflict is not the problem. We will always conflict at one point or the other. I mean, I've had reasons to fight Benga before, but we are still friends till tomorrow, whether you like it or not. So, conflict is not actually the problem. Poor handling is. Now, I have a framework that I personally use when we're talking about conflict in business. You must recognize the conflict early. You must recognize the conflict early. The E is resolve. I name it resolve. That's my personal work frame. I name it resolve. Resolve. So the R stands for recognize the conflict early. You must recognize what's actually happening early. The E starts for express facts, not assumptions. So I can't begin to assume that Benga has gone behind me to take over that business. It's not about assumption. Please express fact. Okay, so I know with this and this and this and this. I'm communicating because there's conflict here. So I should be able to provide fact. If there is no fact, if I don't have proof to whatever it is that I'm talking about, is an assumption. And that shows that I'm not actually intelligent. So when we're resolving conflicts, let's deal with facts. not assumption, not somebody said. If whoever has said that does not have a proof, please just dissolve it, because you will look very stupid at the end of the day. So S stands for seek understanding first. So you can say something like, if I can get you clearly, because you are trying to understand, there's conflict here. So if I'm going to resolve the conflict, I need to understand you and you need to understand me. We have to be on the same table, right? So O stand for outline options. So now that we have established what's going on, what are the options? How do we resolve this? What are the options that we need to explore? Is there any other option? If you suggest one, can we explore another one? So L is land on agreement. So now that we have tried to discuss the options that are available, can we conclude now? Let's have an agreement. Validate commitment. I still love you, Benga. Despite all your naughtiness, you're still my party, right? So let that be established. Validate commitment. Right. So the last one, which is E, is evaluate afterwards. Evaluate together. So my rule in business is a 48-hour rule. Is a 48-hour rule. Issues must be raised within 48 hours, whether in marriage, whether in business, whether a work relationship or whatever. I will suggest strongly, if you're going to outlive, if that business is going to outlive you, or if that relationship is actually going to outlive you, issues must be raised within 48 hours. Don't leave it for too long, because the more you leave it, the more you will begin to have meanings to some things that are not. So it's better you confront issues and resolve, like I've said. Don't do the silent resentment. Don't do the silent treatment like a child. Right. So escalation. There are times that you will have to escalate. That's the truth. There are times that speaking with the person directly will not resolve the issue. So at that point, mediated third party mediation, or a neutral third party can help us come between both of us and say, okay, what happened. The third party that we both agreed. Another one is advisory board. Depending on how large our partnership is, there should be something we call advisory board. So at the point that there's a conflict, there will be an intervention from the advisory board. And finally, the last resort is the legal route, which is not usually advised, but that's the resort, last resort, when things have gone south. So finally, the exit strategy. The truth is, we are supposed to plan our exit strategy even before the business starts, even before the partnership starts. We're supposed to say, okay, for example, in marriage, there's something they call deal breaker. Right. So if Benga and I are planning to get married, I'm supposed to communicate my deal breakers to Benga. I'm supposed to say, okay, Benga, my deal breaker is not cheating. If you cheat on me, I'll forgive you. But don't disrespect me. Don't throw it at my face. Don't, people have different level of deal breakers. So in business, you're supposed to explain your triggers, that please don't cut corners. Don't go and meet clients behind me. Don't seal deals without communicating. I mean, I'm supposed to express my deal breakers. And if you don't know, please speak with someone that knows, so that you can be properly taught. They will tell you what you're supposed to look out for in business. Most times we wait till things have gone south before we begin to plan our exits. All right. So those are the 7 points that I would like to mention, Binga.
Okay, so if I might just jump in quickly, if you have the chance to write your
All
partnership
right.
agreement,
Thank
always
you
look at the
so
page.
much for that. Fantastic. Wow. Oh, okay, Martin, please continue. Please continue. Yeah, Martin, go on, please.
Okay, I was saying that when you have the chance to write a partnership agreement, always lean to arbitration. Say that this will be resolved by arbitration only. Courts are messy, and any
Yes.
court case is public. You would have done your dirty linen in public, and even if you make up later, I used to say this. There's this adage: we can never be friends once we go to court. All right. So let it be by arbitration. We sort this thing. Is hush hush hush. I can go without being disgraced. So those are some of the things we also put consider into when we are writing our partnership agreement.
Thank you so much. Guess what? Most partnership business, when you take it to court, they will actually suggest arbitration. That's most of them usually resolve at the stage of arbitration. Yes, they will actually insist that you settle with through arbitration. Thank you for your contributions, Martin. Benga, you have the floor, please.
All right, fantastic, great one, beautiful points there. I mean, although I didn't uh, quite get, when you were talking about contribute, then I was only able to get the C and the O. Perhaps maybe you can help us with the rest of the acronyms, just so we have a balanced acronyms there. But thank you, very fantastic session, very detailed. I don't know, can we have comment there? The rest of us who are here, please let's encourage the speakers. Let's drop one. Let's drop our emojis, our comments, just so they know that yes, we see them. We get every. I don't know. I'm just trying to also test to be sure that the comment box works now. I've been able to drop comments. Okay, I see your firewall, or is that a fire there? I don't know, David. I see yours, Ike. Thank you so much. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. I'll call your names once I see them. Oladipupo Victor, thank you. I see it. Okay, David says something here. He says, in an early stage startup where there is no full workforce and partners often step into multiple roles, how do you clearly assign RACI roles, that's the RACI roles, when responsibilities are likely to shift? This is a detailed one. I think that's for you, because your own insights to that. I don't know if you can see the comment there, Bukola.
I can see it. Should I go ahead to respond?
Okay. Yes, please
All right.
go
So
ahead.
thank you
Yes,
for that question,
please.
Adenini
Thank you.
David. The truth is, when at the early stage, like you said, we don't have these details. So that is the essence of the quarterly review. That is the essence of quarterly. The quarterly review will be able to resolve that. Okay, at the end of this quarter, I will not be able to continue with X, Y, Z. I have to delegate and pass the buck to another staff that we have recruited or we would just recruit. So I will be delegating X, Y, Z to this new staff that have been recruited, right? So that quarterly review it's a lot will be resolved during the quarterly review because I will know that I can't pick up this role. I can't pick up these responsibilities for whatever it is. So it's time for us to expand. Now we have recruited or we are about to recruit. So in the next quarter, I'm going to have to hand over one or two of my responsibility to somebody. I think that clears it because at the early stage, we don't have it all figured out. That's the truth. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Adedin. Yes, there are no employees at the beginning.
If I might jump in, right? I think that one of the other things that you need to have for the resilience of the partnership, again, like I said, is your shared core values. So there are points where it's difficult to delineate. And I'll give a typical example. In Casafric, I deal with externals, anything that has to do with, you know, getting people that are outside the organization, like investors, partners, marketing, all those things are outward facing, right? But part of marketing and talking about Catafric, the product, would also mean that we have to deal with customers. Customers are not in the company, they are external, right? So customer service, is it going to lie with innovation that is looking externally, or is going to lie with administration as a continuous, operation? You see, it's on two sides, right? So we just sat down and we resolved. Oh, smart, you take this. Let it be a day-to-day running thing. Let me be looking out for the fishes that are outside. Once the fish is inside, it becomes a an operation thing, right? To keep them in while we're going for the new ones. So it was an easy discussion. you still need that level of understanding, that level of shared values to say, okay, I can do this for a while. So I think that also works.
Thank you so much, Martin. I think, Benga, we are done. Is Benga on this call? I don't think Benga is on it all. But Adeni, David, I hope I'm able to answer your question, because the truth is, at the beginning, nobody has it all figured out. I wouldn't even know if we would employ someone, but over time, maybe quarterly, I thank you that we have realized that, okay, at this point, I need to delegate this, I need to delegate that. So that works, and a lot of things. So we can actually at that point say that, okay, you won't be taking 70/30. Let's, because we need to pay staff now, we need to outsource some of the things or some of the aspect of the business. So we can say that I'll take 50/30, depending on whatever it is that we are able to come up with. I don't know if other people have questions. All right.
Yeah, but there's another question on the chat. I think it says, just give me a second. Let me read it out. It says, is it advisable to enter a partnership with a probation period but no financial commitment from one side? How can the risk be fairly balanced so that one party does not bear the loss of the arrangement if the arrangement ends?
All right. So my response to that would be that one of the examples that I gave. I said that I am not bringing I'm not bringing the money. So Martin is the one bringing the money to the table, while I bring a lot of other things that are also worth something. I'm bringing my experience because I'm the one to execute it. So if we're going to measure what is being brought to the table in terms of so his own risk is one way. We have to share. There must be, if there is loss, we have to agree. If we can share profits, we have to share loss as well. If we can share profit, we are also supposed to agree on how to share loss. So if there is a situation of loss, we are supposed to share loss. And
Yes.
like I said, the totality of a company is not dependent on the financial aspect alone. Right. So if the value of the company is 100 million in terms of money, trust me, the company is about 300 million. When we're talking about the value, the other things that is being put together, experience, and a lot of other things that are involved. So I believe I'm able to answer the question.
Yeah, Bukola. So I think I understand where this person is coming from. He's saying that we've said we want to go into partnership, right? Maybe say I'm bringing money, you're bringing the expertise, and I tell you there's probation period though, which means that in the space of 3 months, I'm not going to pay you money for XYZ. I'm not doing that means there's a probation period in which I'm not obliged to do my part, but you must do your part. I think that it's wrong, right? Because the person is now putting himself in the area in the place of an employee. An employee can do probation, right? But I'm a partner. I'm not. In fact, when we brought our CTO in, he was telling me, "Oh, Martin, can I do this? Can I do that?" I say, "Oga, leave all that your employment mindset back. Oh. You are a partner. You don't need to ask me. You can do. You have rights. You can, if you are not sure, you bring it to a board meeting and say, our board meeting and say, I want to do XYZ. This is what it will bring. This is the benefits. And then we approve and you go. There's no, you don't ask me. I'm only higher in terms of office for function, but I don't stop your thinking. You are the head of technology. So you see what's on that end. You should advise us and say, based on my experience, this is what it is. So it's not an employee employer relationship, it's a partnership. You
Yeah.
can't put me on probation, it's a partnership.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Martin. I think that did justice to the question. Benga, are you back?
Fantastic. Yes, I am. Apologies. I don't know. For a moment, I noticed that I was not hearing anyone anymore, but I think I'm back now. Thank you so much for those great interventions. Thankfully, the meeting is recorded, so we can always go back to this. David, I see you've been the one asking most of the questions. Do we have any other questions from anyone? Meanwhile, Martins was. I'm going to hand over the floor to Martins very briefly. He had some pointers he wanted to share with us earlier. So while he does justice to that, he wanted to also. I'm going to quickly share that material here. Martin, are we good to go?
Yes, we are.
Okay, just a moment. Let me just get it out. Let me put it on this board here. Okay, just a minute. Okay. So there was an image he asked to be shared. All right, this is it. I think that's what you're talking about the divorce rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know if it's. Can you say it now?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. So,
So,
all
so
right.
some
Okay, have you? Okay, please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that you can literally alter partnerships if you can alter the rules. And sometimes when you do not write the rules, they are unwritten rules. When you refuse to write your rule,
Why don't you have to cut ties with a business partner? Not because you're heartless, but because sharing a vision.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, please go
it's
ahead.
fine.
Sorry.
You can let it play. Let it play, please.
Okay, let me just share my entire screen then, so it's easier for everyone to see. Okay, please just give me a second. Okay. So can we all see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I think I'll just have to do that again. Let me come back to that.
Okay, while he's trying to get that up, I just wanted to state that, and I was making a joke out of this last time. I was in service in church sometime, and then someone asked me, Martin, is it okay for Christians to write a prenuptial agreement? A prenuptial agreement means that if we are doing a civil partnership, like a marriage, right, these are the rules that we will follow. And so the person says, as a Christian, if you are doing prenup, are you not are you not preempting divorce? And I said, look, it was a tricky one. And I said, look, you it's because we are in Nigeria where marriages stay longer and we are more reasonable. If you go to the West, they'll eat you up for breakfast, right? So sometimes people say all people that have divorced said they loved each other passionately. When you look at the wedding pictures, you say,
Yes.
"Oh, may they happen." So the truth is, you need in this human world, you need to write your agreement as if you are fighting, but do your business like you are friends. It's important because when push comes to shove, you'll be out and dry, right? So you write those rules ahead and say, if this happens, in IT we call it if else. If this happens, this how we'll treat it. Else, this how we'll treat it, right? One of the reasons everybody insults Donald Trump and his wife hasn't left him. There's a prenuptial agreement. If you leave, you carry your bag and your shoe and you go. It's simple. It's not at this point. It's not love. The contract of the relationship binds both people. If you want all of my money, all of my fame, all of my inside the marriage, if you go, you have none of it. You can't take my name. You can't take the money. You
Yeah.
can't take. Is a prenuptial agreement. So the person says, should people be writing that? I say, if you do not write your own, the government has written a default prenuptial agreement for you. If you go, you lose your house, then you lose half of your wealth, then you lose your children, then you pay child support, then you pay alimony, salary of once upon a time I married you. There are some people living in their cars today because of these rules. So you either write your own or you let somebody write for you. That's how partnerships are. If you don't write, you let circumstances play those things for you. And I think we must also know when to leave. Partner, sometimes you don't leave because the other party is bad. You leave
Mm.
because it doesn't make sense for you to stay again. And it's not a bad thing. When you left primary school to secondary school, did you offend the teachers? Were you not happy that you are being promoted? When you left secondary school for university, were you not happy? So sometimes you should understand it's only marriage that is till death do us part. Every other kind of partnership, anything can do us part, and I can part nicely. It doesn't have to be messy, which is why I said arbitration, because it's like a private courtroom, right? Just that nobody is going to jail. It's a private courtroom. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you must anticipate and organize for these things ahead of time. Benga, if you are ready with the video, you can play it.
Okay.
I think while you are doing that, book. I think
Okay,
I'm sure
great, great.
Bukola.
All right. Thank you so much for that intervention. Um, okay. All right. Good. I'm doing that now. All right. So can we all confirm we can see my screen, please?
Yes, sir. Not because you're heart, but because sharing a vision at the start doesn't mean you share the same standards. Sometimes you have to cut ties with a business partner, not because you're heartless, but because sharing a vision at the start doesn't mean you share the same standards, work ethic, or direction anymore. Most people are taught that loyalty in business is everything, that you stick it out, that walking away makes you a quitter. But here's the truth: the person who helped you build the foundation isn't always the person who should be building the next floor with you. And here's what a lot of people just don't understand about business partnerships: you can respect somebody's contribution without letting their limitations become your ceiling. You can be grateful for the history without being held hostage by it. Boundaries in business aren't a betrayal, they are a necessity. Sometimes the most professional thing you can do is remove yourself from a partnership that's quietly draining the life out of what you're building. The partners who want the old version of your business, they don't miss the company. They miss the version of it that didn't challenge their comfort zone. Your growth forces them to confront their own stagnation. And instead of rising to meet it, they'll disguise their resistance as concern. You're moving too fast. Saying, because it makes me feel bad about not growing myself. You don't owe anyone a seat at the table just because they were there at the beginning. Your business is not supposed to make everybody comfortable. It's supposed to get better. And sometimes getting better, that means getting smaller, fewer partners, higher standards, zero tolerance for people who are more committed to staying the same than building something great. If you want daily insights and actionable strategies to make better decisions in business, protect your growth, and build something that you are actually proud of, that is what my newsletter is for. Comment the word newsletter, and I will send you a link for free access.
Fantastic.
Bukola, over to you. I'm sure you wanted to make you wanted to react at some time, so I was eager to hear what you had to say.
And no, I was listening to you.
Okay. Benga, you have the floor.
I don't think Benga is online.
Okay,
Okay.
did we all catch that? Did we all catch that video?
Yes, sir. I did, sir.
Can I confirm we all got that video?
Yes,
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. All
I
right,
did.
all right, fantastic. Okay, so Martin, you have the floor, please. Yes. Probably want to speak to it. But I think that was very profound and straightforward there because sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean, from my takeaway from that is that the fact that you started together doesn't mean you have to end together. Along the way, if you realize this thing is no longer working out, that's one of the reasons, as much as this might sound controversial, I've never really been a fan of. Am I still audible, please?
Yes, you are.
I think
We
we're
can hear
having a
you.
bit of internet connectivity there. Okay, great, 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 great. Okay. All right, Martin, please, you have the floor, please. Let's hear you. Let's hear you. I think I'm having a bit of internet connectivity issues here.
Okay. Basically, I think what we just talked about partnership is really how to structure it. And that structure is deciding the rules of the game you will play. Partnership is like playing a ball. Whether that ball might be football, the rules is you use your legs, not your hand. If it's basketball, it's your hand, not your leg. If it's tennis, it's still a ball, but you use a racket. If it is, so it depends on what the rule says, right? So in partnership, it is important that you are involved in drafting those rules. Whenever I go for a partnership, I ask them to send me the partnership agreement because I want to see it. I want to know what rules they are. So it's important that you always look at it and sometimes get a second opinion, get a lawyer, get somebody else to look at it who is not emotionally tied in that partnership so that you are seeing clearly. You have a fresh pair of eyes also looking at the partnership. It's important because as long as you want to do something great in this life, you will do partnerships, you will get into partnerships, but understand what you are going into. Understand what you're going into. And I think one of the biggest partnerships for tech people is VC funding. What they think that I'm getting someone external to fund me. No, you are getting new partners who are deciders in the company. They can sack you. You have to know from the get go. So it's important that you look at these things and understand what each clause means. All right, over to you, Benga.
Your comment there. Just to be sure, can we all still hear me? I think that the
Yes.
internet. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, Martin, for that. I think that was very profound. And on that note, I think we have to start wrapping up. You've been here for about an hour, 27 minutes, and it's been a very, very beautiful one. Even as we wrap up this session, thank you so much, Martin Ejenobo. Thank you very much, Bukola Oladeji, for this amazing conversations. Very interesting, very intensive too. So as we wrap up today's I'm trying to be sure I'm still audible. Please, can we confirm?
You are audible now. You just became audible.
All right, please, can I confirm I'm still audible just so we can wrap it up? Anybody there?
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Oh, great, great, good. Okay, I'm just wondering what happened there. We seem to have
Yes, sir. I've
lost
been
the
having issues with
signal.
my chatbots, sir. So I wanted to ask a question. Sorry, I wanted to ship in some things before, but because of my
Oh,
chatbox,
please.
so I couldn't communicate properly, sir.
Do- oh, okay. Please go ahead. Let's have your question very quickly.
All right, sir. I think before any partnership starts, I think there should be
Mm,
probably proper investigation on the person we are partnering with, so no,
mm,
not to fall into the hands of a scammer, something like that. So I
fantastic.
just felt that that's one. Two, and I know that everything that you and the other speakers have said, they are spot on, sir. So, but I would like to say this, sir, that aside maybe knowing if that person to conduct investigation, we also have to know that we are partnering with the right people in the right field. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody wants to go into maybe the tech business of a thing or something like that. So you should know that
Mm,
you are partnering with somebody that is an expert in that field. So not
mhm.
somebody that is not somebody that is a neophyte. You get what
Yes.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to say, sir? So we
Exactly.
need somebody that is already like maybe is seasoned in that field, in that area. So we can't
Mm,
just say that okay, we want to partner with anybody.
mm.
So
Yeah.
that's just my own suggestion. These are the two things I want to ship in, sir. So number
Absolutely.
one, yeah, we should conduct our investigation properly on the person we are partnering with, so that to avoid scam or any other thing fraudulent.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think so. My run through from for there would just be so that I guess that's where competence comes in, because it's not just enough to say you're partnering with someone. You want to be sure that the person is competent in that particular space, so you're not, as they say, to avoid stories that touch. Because if like we said earlier, a lot of partnerships happen from excitement. People are just excited. Oh yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Until they get to the middle of the road and they realize, look, it's what I ordered versus what very spot. You want to be sure that this person is knows what he's doing, so you don't end up being the one who is doing all the work. And that's what happens in a lot of partnerships. You find that one person is doing all the work, the rest are just playing there. So very spot on. Thank you so much for that, Victor. We need to wrap up the session now, and of course, the key takeaway for me here is the fact that partnerships don't succeed by chance, right? They succeed by design. Majorly, it has to be. It's about the structure, what is put in place, and we hope that this session, has given you clarity, giving you practical tools and a new perspective on partnerships. On behalf of Dinamico Consulting, I'd like to thank you, our speakers, thank you, Mr. Martin Ejenobo, for that insightful session. Thank you so much for your contributions on this session. And of course, thank you too to Mace Bukola Oladeji as well for your contributions. And of course, a very, very insightful session we had so far. And all our participants as well. I think at the last call I checked, we about 23 that joined this session in and out. I know there are a couple of others that probably are also have joined, but are not were not able to make contributions among other things. But thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you all at the next edition of Dynamical Conversations. That'll be episode 9. We should be having this sometime in June. Of course, we'll let you know. Every one of us who registered, you get enough information on that ahead of the next edition of Dynamical Conversations. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful night ahead and enjoy the rest of the quarter. God bless you. Thank you. Bye bye.